Coming up, a shortage of granite is leaving some families without headstones for their loved ones. Why local districts say the substitute shortage is dire and now affecting the students. Plus, the extra step Fargo police are taking to prevent tragedy at this weekend's Holiday Lights Parade. Valley News Live at 10 starts right now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
Normally it would take about 8 weeks to get something, and now it's closer to 5 months.
Good evening, everyone. Grieving families in the valley coping with the loss of a loved one are now facing another problem. A shortage of granite and other materials are slowing down the production of headstones. As Valley News Team's Nashay Taylor learned, it's causing some families to go months without closure.
A lot of it is pretty similar to what some of the other industries across the country and the world are experiencing.
Dustin Anderson is the general manager for the Dakota Monument Company. He says materials like certain kinds of granite is quarried overseas, and getting their hands on it comes with a hefty cost.
Shipping rate from this time last year is almost 3 times what it was.
He says there are U.S.-based options to get granite, but those companies are also dealing with their share of challenges like labor shortages. This pushes back the amount of time companies in the monument industry can get those materials.
Normally it would take about 8 weeks to get something, and now it's closer to 5 months.
And getting granite from overseas can take even longer. Anderson says in some cases it could be up to a year. But those delays means families will have to wait a little longer to receive the final piece to properly bury their loved one.
Be patient. It is coming. It's just taking longer than normal, unfortunately.
Fargo, Nashay Taylor, Valley News Live.
Anderson says the price for granite from the U.S.-based company that they work with has increased by 30% compared to last year. Expect changes in the forecast for your day tomorrow and a couple first alert weather days not far ahead. Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson has the latest. Hutch?
Stacey, thanks so much, and good evening, everyone. As we head through our Wednesday, wow, is all we can say about temperatures. But look at the difference in temperatures for high temperatures this afternoon. Low 40s, Thief River Falls and Bemidji, 51 in Fargo-Moorhead. We saw some 60-degree weather in portions of the central Dakotas, and out west, nearly 70 degrees in southwest North Dakota. Tonight, fairly quiet as we've melted away some of the slippery nonsense we had to start our morning today. It was icy. Now we just have good old-fashioned rain on the first day of winter. Bismarck down towards Sisseton, and another batch streaming up north of Minot, heading into the Devil's Lake area, starting to thin out a little bit. And overnight, we're worried about the chance for a little bit of fog as we go through, with temperatures now around the 35 to 40 degree range for most, but down south here in Fargo and Point South, warmer still. Now, we are talking about first alert weather days that are in your forecast as we go into the weekend, Saturday night into Sunday. I'll have details on that and some flakes in your forecast for Thursday. Hour by hour forecast details in just a moment.
All right, thanks so much, Hutch. Fargo police are asking businesses and residents downtown to take extra safety precautions for this year's Holiday Lights Parade. Specifically, they're asking them to secure access to their rooftops, saying they're taking all possible threat situations into account.
It's very problematic to have just anybody be able to gain access to elevated spaces in the downtown area. That could be for several different reasons. Some of which would be like an active shooter situation, some of which would be a suicidal individual situation. In that regard, which we've had both of those things happen in the downtown this year.
Fargo PD officers will be visiting downtown businesses ahead of the parade to encourage securing those roofs. They're also asking for volunteers to stand with police and secure the parade route. Police also said today they've cleaned up what they're calling river camps, homeless people living along the river in downtown Fargo. After several complaints, 2 garbage trucks were called in to clear the space. Police are working with area shelters to try to find everyone who was there a place to stay. Police say the camps became a safety concern after a 5-gallon bucket of used needles was found nearby. This comes as the West Fargo Fire and Police Departments are reminding you to take extra precautions around any body of water and stay off the ice, specifically retention ponds and the Cheyenne River.
You know, the ice is rapidly changing, and unfortunately it's changing for the worst right now with the temperature today.
The National Weather Service says 20% of people who fall into cold water die from shock in the first minute. New tonight at 10, All True plans to purchase 50 acres of land in Devil's Lake for new hospital services. This all started back in July when All True sent letters to Devil's Lake residents saying the future of local health care is at risk. Meanwhile, at All True's home base in Grand Forks, completion of their $380 million hospital has been pushed back until 2024. Construction was paused as the health system laid off more than 150 employees last year. The nation is seeing a shortage of school substitutes, and not just for teachers. And today, Valley News Team's Alex Larson found out just how dire the situation is for Fargo Public Schools.
We're really trying to think of any and every type of way that we can recruit. So we really don't have to go down that road where, okay, there's just nobody available. Now what do we do?
Fargo Public Schools says the shortage of substitutes isn't new, but it has been worse the past 2 years. The district says it's looking for help all across the board, from nutritional services, custodians, office positions, and paraeducators.
To prioritize, I'd probably have to say our teacher subs, the people that are doing the direct instruction in the classroom.
Along with daily subs, it's looking for long-term substitutes as well, and the pay is pretty competitive.
It can be anywhere from about $230 a day all the way up to about $450 a day, depending upon the credentials they have to be placed on that salary schedule.
Andring says when the schools can't find a sub, they use other staff already in the building.
Of course, that can create a situation where those teachers and those administrators and other staff might be overtaxed trying to take on those extra students as well. So it's very critical that we double and triple our efforts in recruitment.
The district says it's doing what it can to recruit more staff by adding bonuses and other incentives for some positions.
And the impact really is directly felt by the students and other teachers and the staff of the building. So, again, we're trying to kind of replenish that cupboard to get as many substitutes as we possibly can.
Alex Larson, Valley News Live.
If you are interested in working for the Fargo Public School District, we have the link to their openings right on our website, valleynewslive.com. Just click on this story. Health departments have confirmed the Omicron variant has made its way to a person in California, the first confirmed case of the variant in the U.S. That person traveled from South Africa on November 22nd. They are fully vaccinated and have mild symptoms. North Dakota leaders say there's no plan to change current mitigation strategies. In Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz announced today the arrival of a federal medical team to increase the availability of the COVID-19 monoclonal antibody treatments. The governor says the FEMA team, made up of 16 people, will allow more COVID-19 patients in Minnesota to receive monoclonal antibodies. December 1st is a reminder of the fight in ending the HIV epidemic. It's World AIDS Day, and according to Prevention Coordinator Robin Litke-Saul of Fargo Cass Public Health, 20 new cases happen every year in Cass County alone, with more than 400 people living with HIV in the state of North Dakota.
We really want to see total elimination of the disease, and until we see that, we're going to continue to be in a fight. And it's really important that people remember that they should be tested at least once in their life.
Now, there is hope on this World AIDS Day as scientists have a new treatment to battle the disease. An injection a person takes just 6 times a year is proven to be just as effective as daily pills. A week ago, President Biden released 50 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to increase the oil supply and bring down prices. Both environmental groups and GOP leaders criticized that move, and now North Dakota Senator John Hoeven has introduced a bill to try to ramp up oil production in the U.S. The Strategic Production Response Act would mean that outside of an emergency, President Biden can't release reserve oil until a plan is made to increase domestic oil production. But one expert says that's not a sensible solution.
So to increase domestic production is not quite that simple because the government doesn't control it. These are investments made by private companies, and the prices at the pump that everyone are reacting to are set in a global marketplace. And that is a function of recovering worldwide demand coming out of the COVID pandemic.
In 2020, North Dakota ranked second in the nation in both oil production and reserves, but North Dakota oil production has been on the decline since January 2020 by thousands of barrels, and that's millions of dollars of missing income for the state. Still ahead tonight, Magic in Manhattan will take you to the iconic Rockefeller tree lighting and show you where some West Fargo students have their ornaments displayed on a national stage.
And gorgeous weather on this first day of meteorological winter, a beautiful sunset at that. Now, if that brand new shovel that you've just waxed and have ready for work, it's going to get busy. I'll have details on some shovel trouble in your forecast next.